Okay.
to be live in the right place. I don't know. Find out. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Yeah, it says we're live preparing. Oh, it's preparing to go live. There, now we're live on YouTube. Hello, folks. I don't know if I'm in the right place. You know, me and my, oh yeah, we are. Association with Being, we're here. Hi, Steve. I see myself. I see me, see you, see me. Hi, Steve. Hey, Jack, what's up, brother?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Uh, Today we're going to talk about association with being and what that entails and how our outer universe translate into our inner universe, and in the end, what that means for us. So, Jack, you had a thought on how to start this off. Why don't you lead the way and set the stage for it?
Okay. Yeah. I'll set the stage here. So, essentially, in the last week, I've been studying psychopathology from the point of view of the afflicted individual. And I've realized that there is a great link between mysticism, enlightenment, and essentially narcissistic and psychopathic individuals. And I wanted to explore that with Steve today. And then we'll try and bring it on how it associates to being, and really how being is, well, simply being and accepting things for how they are is really the remedy for that ultimately. And it's a difficult rabbit hole to go through, but it's necessary. It's easier for some people than others. For me, it's been difficult, but ultimately, you have to. I've gained great understanding into pathological people, how they operate, and that's, like I said, that's because I've been studying this from the point of view of a psychopath, and I've learned a great deal about what makes them tick, what drives them. But ultimately, the point is that so let's go, Steve. You know the whole they thing. Okay, let's start with the they.
Right. Let me read something real quick that just jumped out at me, like we were talking about from the Emerald Tablets, just a couple verses.
Sure.
And we'll start out with: man is in the process of changing to forms that are not of this world. Grows he in time to the formless, a plane on the cycle above. Know ye must become formless before ye are one with the light. And then I just wanted to say that because that's essentially what we're here to do, is transmute energies from dark to light, or from from what is negative, and that's neither here nor there, because negative is the same as positive in the end, whatever. But far in the past, before Atlantis existed, men there were who delved into darkness, using dark magic, calling up beings from the great deep below us. Forth came they into this cycle. Formless were they, of another vibration, existing unseen by the children of earthmen. Only through blood could they have formed being. Only through man could they live in the world. Now, Atlantis to me is the story of the mind. That's what Atlantis to me is. And it's talking about our propensity to have lower vibration because of our egoistic tendencies and our need to survive. But I think that's essentially where you're coming from in the narcissistic point of view, or the psychopathic point of view, right?
Right.
So yeah, go on.
Well, it's interesting. You said egotistical tendencies. There's also narcissistic tendencies that we have. So really, why this is important, I really now feel like I'm clearly able to differentiate between the truth seekers, the mystics, the occultists, or you could say the white magi, because, you know, the black magi is the opposite polarity.
Mm-hmm.
And so you essentially have the truth seekers on one end of the spectrum. Then in the middle, you'll have people who have a kind of blend of narcissistic and empathic traits. It doesn't mean they're narcissists at all, but some situations they might get angry unnecessarily, then later they'll apologize because their empathy comes through, and their conscience, they know they did something wrong. And then on the opposing end, or diametrically opposed to the truth seeker and the empath, you have the psychopath. So the difference between the narcissist and the psychopath that I've discerned is that the narcissist, even though and there's varying degrees across this whole scale, all right, there's varying degrees. So those in the middle, which is the largest population, these people would be like the sheeple to a degree, and I'll explain why. It is because they don't have this like super empathy where they feel the pain, torment, and suffering of the collective consciousness like someone like me does, basically. Particularly when I was younger, it really got me down. And that's what led me into conspiracy theories, then the occult, then mysticism. And, you know, that's where truth seeking ultimately leads. I think the analogy I used last week is that, you know, all the spokes on the wheel lead to the middle of the wheel, whatever angle they approach from, you know. So there is great, there's like a treasure chest of wisdom in exploring this topic. If we look at the book of Proverbs in the Bible, the book of Proverbs details this very vividly. You know, there's no rest for the wicked is one example. There's countless examples, you know, that the tongue is mightier than the sword, etc. There's loads in there. And yes, we can go to the anagogical exegesis of the scriptures where we go, okay, this pertains to the abyss and the light. This pertains to pleroma. This pertains to the cosmos. This pertains to the cosmos and the light, or pleroma and the cosmos, or blah, blah, blah. We can do that. But there are still, like I said, there's great wisdom the truth seeker can harvest from the Bible through trying to reconcile, essentially, I'm trying to reconcile empathy with psychopathology here, because, you know, we go back to my favorite Iamblichus axiom. Enlightenment is liberation from all things of a contrary nature.
Bang.
So it's something that is worth exploring. And like I said to you before we got live, Phil was talking about he was studying psychopathology and realized these people are born psychopaths. And there's a genetic component, and there's also the component of nature as well.
Too, though, right?
Yeah, because you can have the genetic component to be a pathological narcissist, but you have a beautiful childhood with good parents, so that seed never grows. Whereas, and you know, there's no cure for this. It's like me trying to not be an empath. You know, if I saw a young child like fall over and start crying, I'd immediately feel that child's pain. That's never going to change while I'm alive in this lifetime, you know. So yeah, I wanted to explore that. And I feel like, so what I was saying as well, the elusive they, who are the elusive they? So the elusive they is really the pathological people. And it's not like they're organized in a cabal, but they have set up this this matrix of control, because the pathological people rise to the top of all institutions in Kali Yuga, right? You following me, Steve? You look
yes,
like
I'm following you. Yeah.
So, you know, the huge destruction and damage, like the fake wars in the Middle East, the corruption of the free market, it causes us great pain and suffering. And also, this is on a collective level. Now, on an individual level, if you've ever come across a narcissist at work or in a relationship, or you have a parent that was one, and you don't become narcissistic, you'll become empathetic, you'll become an empath, and you'll become like a great emotional beacon, and it will make you very spiritual and that's or religious, and that's what happens, you know.
It happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. So
So I get where you're coming from. You're saying that the forcing of you to weigh the polar opposites, or not polar opposites, but the seemingly opposite of evil and good within your own mind by being thrust into whatever paradigm there is,
right,
the outside narcissism or whatever it is, or what's like a lot of people right now are stuck on the the control thing of the CV, and this whole lockdown thing, and and all of that. You're talking that too, or is it more on the
I'm talking more archetypal, Steve.
Yeah, okay.
That's just an example with respect to the zeitgeist, but I'm talking in terms of archetypes. So quickly on Kali Yuga, because obviously we live in Kali Yuga. So I was go ahead.
We're not in the Kali Yuga right now, I thought. I thought we were in the Sattva Yuga now.
Right. So this is what I was contemplating on. Now, obviously, the cosmos and planet Earth exist for huge spans of time that go beyond history, that go beyond antiquity and the ancient world. So to know what life would have been like on Earth, let's assume that's true, that the planet's 4.6 billion years. Knowing what life was like 2 million years ago, there's no written history for us to know that. So we genuinely don't know if there was intelligent life that was an evolving consciousness moving to singular truth at that time. Okay, we just don't know. So I was thinking about that on one perspective, and now on the other perspective, I was thinking the story of King Parasha encountering Kali Yuga while he was hunting, and Kali Yuga saying, "I am coming here to this realm. You can't stop me. The passage of time demands it. I've been sent here by Vishnu, etc., etc." And he says, "Okay, you can stay. You'll live in places of gambling, places of alcohol, places of poverty, places of gambling." And his last abode of Kali Yuga was wealth. Well, it was gold, but really wealth as well. So I've heard Hindu scholars basically say it's wealth, not gold. So back to my point on the contemplation of Kali Yuga, I'm positing, and I don't know if this is true, is the manifestation of Kali Yuga in the material plane the same story of the fall in the Garden of Eden? And is the end of Kali Yuga,
that's pretty deep, dude,
the same story of the revelation of St. John?
That's awesome.
Therefore, is it always Kali Yuga? And this is why I put the disclaimer out beforehand, like we don't really know what life could have been like in prehistoric periods. So I don't know if that's true, but it certainly is interesting to think about and contemplate. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty deep, because it would make sense, because the Kali Yuga is the shortest time frame in the whole cycle, right? But it's the blackening, if you will.
right. But see, then again, this comes back to psychopathy. Because one of Krishna's predictions for Kali Yuga is that psychopaths will assume control of this realm. Now, moving on to what I learned about psychopaths and narcissists and what drives them. See, if I'm going to reconcile empathy with psychopathy, I'm going to have to understand psychopathy. But to understand it from the point of view of an absolute psychopath is going to give me a much greater understanding than some new age douchebag on YouTube talking about how to avoid a narcissist when he really has no idea. Do you see what I mean? It's going to give me much greater depth of understanding.
Yeah,
No
it's like
offense to
shadow
some.
people when there's nothing but light around you.
Right. So their primary functions, what they want. Number one, to bring everyone, to bring every what they call an appliance under their control, because they have no emotional empathy. Therefore, they don't see you as a separate being with your own hopes, dreams, and aspirations. They see you as an object. So,
right now, there's something in me trying to. I want to just lash out and say I don't want to go down. You know what I'm thinking right now. I know you know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I get that. I understand. It's a tough topic, but I'm gonna bring this round.
That's what I'm
gonna
hurry up then.
Well, give me a chance. Let me get there. So they're and this relates to the jinn in Islam as well. This absolutely relates to the jinn.
Dude, this is so weird because we were talking about the jinn and all kinds of stuff recently.
Right. Yeah. It relates to Kali Yuga and the jinn more so than in Christian mythology. The jinn and Kali Yuga are more appropriate examples of this reconciliation that I'm attempting. So their prime directive: bring all objects under your control. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing is to feed off us. So we give them fuel, right? And this is how it relates to the jinn, because if we have an interaction with a narcissist and they trigger us into getting angry through them being abusive, or if they give us a fake compliment and we give them a positive emotion, that emotion that we give off, they will suck it in like a vampire. And it was called, the people call it narcissistic supply, but fuel is a better term, because what it does, they will suddenly feel a burning sensation, which is like a drug within them, right? And it's like a fire within them.
That's what a true vampire is, right?
Right. And well, also the jinn, and the reason why it's important to relate it to the jinn, because obviously you have birds of the air, fish of the water, man and other animals of the land. Spirit is spirit. So what is born of the fire? That would be the jinn. The jinn are the beings or the consciousness that's born of the fire. And they are the people, they are the pathological people on the far end of the spectrum opposite the empaths. Okay, so follow with me. So it doesn't matter what emotion we output with them, they will take that emotion and it will fuel them. But why do they need this fuel? The reason why they need the fuel is because if they don't have any supply, then the emptiness and the void and the deadness within their soul will start consuming them all around in all directions, and it will give them great paranoia and anxiety. So they need to, it's exactly like the vampire archetype, right? So
that's awesome.
I find that fascinating. I really do find that fascinating.
That went somewhere where I wasn't expecting, even after you tried explaining it to me earlier, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, this is why I wanted to talk about it, and because it's deep. And so what's the solution for someone like you or me on an individual or a collective level? And this is where, the they, so what? Who cares? This is where your philosophy on this comes to the fore as accurate. And I'm not stroking you. I'm just saying, right? So
I'll leave the seat.
So when you're dealing,
pat myself on the back real quick so everybody can
give yourself a little pat on the back, little rub on the head, like
good boy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, essentially, I think what you're saying is that, this exploration of that brings a new light to the understanding that all is as it's going to be, right? I mean,
Yeah. yeah, there's, like I said, there's no cure for these individuals. There's nothing that can be done. The goose is cooked, so to speak.
Yeah, once you get that freight train running and there's no brakes and it's going downhill, there's no slowing it.
Now, interestingly, you said there's no brakes. So here's another interesting archetypal comparison. So let's take as above, so below. Beyond the law of correspondence with the seven kingdoms and the seven planets of astrology, let's take it in a more direction of physics, right? So we know we got the expansion of the universe. So the truth seeker, like you or I and those in the chat, we represent that expansive force in the universe to explore all the possibilities of God and, venture into new horizons and charter new, whatever. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, that's
pioneers.
The point of being singular and different in essence is
right.
So there's different perspective. Yeah.
So explorers of the deep psyche, essentially, because that's the final frontier. I mean, yeah, we can go and live on Mars.
You just said something that just struck me because I've been watching Star Trek lately. or what's that? With Captain Luke Picard. Is that Star Trek?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, the new Next Generation.
Right. Yeah. I like Janeway myself, but she was cool because she dies and she always comes back to life. But anyway, so truth seekers and empaths, we as our kind, we can refer to us as, because there is a differentiation, would be synonymous of the accelerating expansion of the cosmos, right? Okay. And you said put the brakes on earlier. So black holes are putting the brakes on the universe. And what do they need to do? They need to constantly suck in and consume. Suck in
everything, right? Yes, bring it back in.
So the psychopath would archetypally be that opposing force of limiting that expansion and bringing it under its control by sucking everything back into it, right? It's very interesting, and that's a good way. I think that's a pretty accurate philosophy. I don't see the errors in it.
No, sorry.
And it's interesting because the psychopath in question that I've been studying says there is a great void within him, a great black hole within him. And if he has no victims he can prey on and extract emotional fuel from them, he feels that darkness and he'll do anything to avoid it, So it's very, very interesting. It's really fascinating. And now here's the other thing as well. It's almost as if when it comes to the jinn, let's say that within they're the jinn, they're the governors of the Kali Yuga, right? It's like this is their realm, this realm that we find ourselves in, this material plane. They believe they own everything anyway, and maybe they, in their own narcissistic perspective, in their mind, they do. And that's why this is why I hate to relate it to the zeitgeist, but this is why Bill Gates wants to give everyone a patented mRNA vaccine that's in us, in our cells, because then you can go, well, my patent's in your cells, so I do actually legitimately own you now legally.
Yeah, I don't know. There's
all right. Let's stay away from Bill Gates and COVID. Let's push that. Just get that zeitgeist out
here. That's why I don't like to go there, because
let's keep on terms of
that's a tunnel that you can get lost down and just not even.
Let's keep it archetypal and ignore the zeitgeist for purposes of
right.
for purposes of wisdom. So anyway, there's a great chasm and void and darkness within them. Yet within us there's great like light and imagination and
Well, there's
emotion.
darkness just as well in us too, though.
And now this is another point this guy made. This is very interesting. And another point, he said that the super empaths are the only ones that can really take on a narcissist toe to toe, and ultimately they'd lose, because if you play their game, you're always playing on their terms. So they'll just shift the sands or move the goalposts to suit the agenda however they see fit.
Right.
So you will lose every time. So if to go out and protest is just that emotion of all the protesters who are very empathetic people, not the sheeple don't bother going out protest. That's just going to fuel the narcissism. So it's kind of pointless. So the only way you can defeat one, if you're dealing with one on an individual basis, is to have no contact and banish them, throw away anything they gave you, quit your job if it's your boss at work. If it's your intimate partner, you leave them and move away and never look back. You stay off social media. You basically just have to banish them, right? So I'm like, okay, the plan that one has to execute in dealing with someone like this in their intimate personal life is pretty straightforward and obvious. It can be difficult to do because the empath wants to fix and wants to heal, even though they're trying to fix and heal something. Like I said, the goose is cooked, so there's nothing you can actually do apart from escape and get freedom in this individual situation I'm referring to. So now this brings us on to they. So okay, let's scale that up from the micro into the macro of the world. And so how does the candidate deal with that? So we have these systems around us that we need. They're unavoidable. We can't live on our own on a desert island and survive. We're social beings, okay? So like, I guess the only thing you can do is accept it for what it is and continue to work on yourself. Acknowledge it, but don't engage with it, you know? Like,
Right.
I mean, and like I said, you can't try and be an activist in it. And this is where the whole be in the world, but not of the world
Bingo.
comes in to play. And that's why so really, I guess this is what this is talking about. You know, it's very, I find this all very fascinating. To be honest.
It is, because it's just another aspect of how we journey our inner chasm in our own being. I mean, because everything you just stated, I have manifested in me and out in the world. I've been a narcissist. I've been an asshole. I've been a jerk.
Yeah, you're not a narcissist. You would have, your narcissistic traits would have been active from you making shitty decisions, living a shitty life, basically.
Yes, exactly. And I've been there, and I still do it every now and then. You know, make wrong decisions because I'm not perfect. But my point of this is that when we really get down to the brass tacks of what this is all about. And the epiphany I had today was of the association with being, you know, and because we always expect something out of something, and we want a reward for something that there's an end game for everything that we in the human carnal mind. We want a reward for something, you know, we want to have an end goal for something. And to me, today I found I had this because I've been listening to Rama Shah, I forget, I can't say his name, but he's a guru or whatever, a shaman on YouTube, but whatever, he wrote some good books, and you know, I've been listening to some audiobooks about it, about his teachings. And the thing is that we skip being who we are and just being, because we in essence are being. We skip that for the end goal, and we don't know, we don't come to know who we truly are before we even try to find what's next. You know what I mean? We skip the being part. And if we just be, and you know, because our true being is just here now, what we're doing.
Well, this is the point. If you're not an entrepreneur or, some big shot high up in a corporate hierarchy, paychecking your way to riches, you're going to have to toil to pay for your roof over your head.
Well, not in the United States, man. They're handing out money like it's going out of style.
Right, true. And I'll come on to this and at this point, but this is an archetypal point. It's not like, okay, here's a bit of land here. I'm going to build my house on a bit of land. I'm going to put this work into building it. Then it's built and I can enjoy the fruits of my labor and live in it. It's not like that. Because of the corruption of the financial system.
Something that,
Well, let me finish this point, though. Because of the corruption of the systems and the institutional systems, because of Kali Yuga, which could be always Kali Yuga. Like I said, I don't know. I've got to continuously toil to keep the roof over my head rhythmically. I can't just, pitch my tent and live in it until I die. I've got to keep toiling, and this is a consequence of the manipulation of the pathological people in the world of finance, and it's this toil that I have to go through to survive. I mean, I could be an entrepreneur, but I don't want to. I can't be bothered. So this toil that I have to do to survive. A reason why I have to toil harder than I would have to is because of pathological people. So they inflict more toil on me, more suffering, more hardship, and that is impelling me to be liberated from that. So
but that isn't that in itself exactly the opposite of what I've just said?
It kind of is.
Yeah. As far as a goal-oriented thought process.
Right. Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to be free from this realm anymore, and I really never was. I just wanted to know the truth of what we are and why we are here. And for me, I'm on that bone like a pit bull on a pork chop, and I'm never gonna let it go. And that's what I think the striving is about, is just to know, and I think in the end, that is how you know yourself, or to know thyself is to know God, to know the end of all things, to know the beginning of all things, right?
Yeah, but this is where my point converges with your point, is because of the pain and the suffering we experience as emotional beings. That's the driving force that gets us to that place.
Or to put it in a pity way, it's like when you're praying to the porcelain god and you're puking all over the place, and you say, "God, please help me. I'll never do it again." Right? I mean, that's a layman jacket.
If you want to throw that pagan kind of perspective in there, then hell, why not?
But you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah.
We only yearn for God when we're struggling the most.
You could be praying to the porcelain goddess of bulimic as well. Oh God, that's not funny.
I don't mean it like that. After you drank too many spirits is what I'm talking about.
Yep. Certainly.
Because we've all been there. And look at Jack's hair. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I cut my hair.
Samson got his locks cut off.
Well, it was trying to turn to dreadlocks if I didn't brush it for 10 minutes every day. And I just couldn't bother to manage. Hey, at least I now know why women take so long to get ready. I understand their pain of needing an extra half hour to do their hair.
Haley's throwing it out there. Jack, what about your musical talents? I enjoyed your piano and singing gift immensely. It was the best part of my day.
Let me get to the chat.
That was Allie Mary, Allie Star. She's
so unfortunately, my music creativity has come to a grinding halt, and that really sucks. And I mean, look, I'm on my own in a foreign country, so I've got, my priority is a roof over my head, and I could practice for a couple hours. I'll get back into it. I will get back into it. It's just I'm going through a very long creative block which has been spurned. Well, an emotional block gave rise to that, but I'm starting to like move through it as well. I think that's kind of why I cut my hair. It's like a Buddhist kind of symbolically reborn.
You just said that in chat.
Huh?
I chopped all my hair off when going through a big change in my life a couple of times now.
Yeah, I've done that. I've done this. Well, I last had it cut in like 2016. So this it's kind of symbolic of a new chapter of my life. But anyway, yeah, that's the hair. But I tell you what, though, interestingly, on the point of the hair, in World War II, the U.S. Army wanted to recruit Cherokee Indians to do tracking for them in the battlefields in Europe.
Are you talking about the Wind Talkers?
Yeah, and they basically agreed to join the military. And they said, okay, you got to go through
code, right?
You got to go through basic training, and the first thing we do, we cut off all your hair. And they were like, no, you can't cut off our hair because it's like an aerial, it's like a conduit. And yeah, there is a feeling of nakedness, but I at this point in time in my life, I don't need to be picking up a lot of I don't need to be empathizing with the collective groans of the human unconscious. I got to just like kind of fend for myself at this juncture. But, you know, it is what it is. So it'll grow back. Anyway, yeah, hair aside. Right. So what were we talking about?
That brings to mind with the Samson and Goliath tale. Yeah, do you have any insight into that?
Well, I know that so would Goliath be the logos, but the negative aspect of the logos?
Yeah, like the demiurge.
Samson would be
Gnostic version of it. Yeah,
would be like the benevolent version. But I don't know. Is it why does he lose all his hair? Why when he loses his hair does he lose his power? Is that talking like, you know, you got the pineal gland and then you have the logos, which looks like the pineal gland, but with the protruding beams. So without the protruding beams, you just have a regular run-of-the-mill pineal gland, you lose all your power. I don't know.
Mary says hair is an extension of your antenna. And I've heard that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's absolutely true. That's
and if you really look in tradition, a lot of yogis or mystics or whatever have long beards and usually have long hair if they're not bald, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like you would call yourself a Serbian national now.
No, that was a Serbian ethnic cleanser. That's what I said. That's the Milosevic regime that was evil.
You know, and I got something to add to the cancel culture. I want fucking Cracker Jacks. I want it canceled because I'm white.
What's that got to do with anything?
No, I'm just trying to,
slightly
slanted, man. I gotta be slightly slanted sometimes, right?
Well, you know, I know we said we wouldn't do zeitgeist, but it's maybe I now understand the woke movement as well, because the mid-range narcissist. Okay, let's go back to archetype, away from zeitgeist. We need like a little red warning light. It's a warning, zeitgeist, warning. You know, that start an alarm that starts beeping off. Anyway, so you have the mid-range narcissist, and the mid-range narcissist is unaware that they're a narcissist, yet they still seek to control, vampire emotion. The other two things is character traits they need from people so they can learn the appropriate responses in social situations. And then the last one's like residual benefits. So say like a psychopath gets a new girlfriend and wants to start living with her, he'll move in and not pay rent and she'll pay the rent. That would be a residual benefit, for example. Okay, so back to the mid-range narcissist. The mid-range narcissist believes that they are a good person. They believe that they're a righteous person.
Righteousness is
And they
usually
believe they're a virtuous person.
Yep.
Yet they are the absolute scum of the earth. Okay.
Wow.
No, they are, Steve. They are. I'm just, it is what it is. And like I said, there's no cure. And the internet, particularly Twitter, has allowed all these people to converge into this kind of
Well, isn't that what
unit
social media is?
unit
It's a
of
narcissist
woke Twitter.
playground.
Like I said, they're like the orcs from Lord of the Rings, you know.
Right.
And you know, it's like, so now you know, like, the motives that are driving them. Really, it's about control. It's about emotional fuel to stave off the void within their souls. And really, you know, that's it. So, but like I said to you, like I said to you earlier, I don't think there is a cure for this on the macro scale. I think you can only cure it yourself as an individual
Yeah.
by understanding what is happening
Yeah.
to as great a
Well,
depth.
you first have to have the want to know what's happening. And most
Well,
narcissists don't have any of that.
Well, I'm talking from like the point of view of us.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
talking from the point of view of us.
I
It's
got you.
like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like Phil says, why
Willing
he
to
wanted to
explore
find
the
out.
narcissistic tendencies of others to find your true self within that whole paradigm is what you're saying.
But it's about asking the question, you know, what the bloody hell is going on here? Why is this such a mess? And that leads to a lot of rabbit holes. But eventually, you know, you can't stay down the rabbit hole. You have to kind of converge it back within to your true self, you know. So yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, to anyone on the chat, the guy on YouTube that I've learned this from, his name is HG Tudor, as in the Tudor family, from the royal family before the Stuart royal family. He's very very articulate, posh, kind of sounds like an upper class British aristocrat. Sounds like a Bond villain. And yeah, I'd check out his channel. I wouldn't bother like commenting on his videos or anything and like feeding him fuel, but I've watched lots of psychologists, psychoanalysts, psychiatrists talk about pathology, psychopathology, right? And I kind of got it, and I still never really understood it. Another guy who's very good at explaining it is a Irish occultist that I watch called Thomas Sheridan, and he's spot on the mark, right? But again, he's an empath outside looking in. And like I said, to hear it, their mindset from the horse's mouth, it's just, to me, it's been jaw dropping. And what's really funny, I found this amusing. This guy made a video saying why I do what he do. So basically, his channel is all about helping us understand pathological people and enabling us to effectively banish them from our lives so we can be free from them. Okay. And this is on a micro scale, not a macro. Like I said, I don't think there is a solution for the macro. But he said, like, he had a video explaining his motives between why he does what he does. And he said one of them, he basically hates lesser narcissists and thinks they're scum. So he'd like to see us kick their butt. That was one. Then he said he wants to create a legacy because he accepts he's going to die. And really, he said he's just doing it for me and my ego because I want to and I can. Very narcissistic, like disgusting reasons for wanting to do something.
Self-motivated.
But this is what I found so amusing, which he couldn't understand. This is really funny. He is doing it consciously to be of service and give back to humanity because he's such a psychopath. His narcissism is blinding him from seeing that, and he would never be able to admit that, but that's what he's doing. It's like, it's really interesting. And I
So
just,
you're saying that he's creating within himself a self-perpetuating narcissistic loop that's actually benefiting the human experience
yes,
without him
exactly
aware of
that, exactly that. Without well, he's aware that the information's created for people's benefit,
it.
and so he's totally aware of that, but he's unaware that he is doing it to be of service to humanity and to give to humanity. He's unaware of that, and he'd never be aware of that because his pathology would blind him from that truth. And also, it's the Abyssian void is the thing that he hates the most. Yet the Abyssian void, that eternal stillness, is what we are striving for as mystics and truth seekers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and
a really interesting dichotomy in play there. I find it fascinating. I really do.
that is fascinating, and
It is. It really
what's
is.
the fascinating part, Jack, is that everything you're just talking about today, except minus the narcissistic part of it, but the whole the Abyssian void, and everything we've talked about today.
Mhm.
It's been on my plate for 2 days, and today I had that epiphany about just being is the stillness of no thought, or training your mind to accept anything and everything, whether it's good, bad, ugly, or otherwise, and to bring it in and own it, but not to give it any credence.
Mm.
If you follow me there, and it's odd
So
that.
like, are you talking about like a internal recognition coupled with an acceptance?
Yes, that no matter where you're at and how you're coming at me, or my perception of how you're coming at me, doesn't mean a damn thing, because in the end, my psychopathy, or my psychology is your psychology. In essence, it's our understanding of that one signal that we attenuate to that signal, and what we take in from that signal, because it's all the same signal. You know what I mean? And that's how we are all one
Yeah,
through.
that's very interesting. You bring up the whole. We talked about this. We're all receiving the same signal.
Yes.
This guy described it as he's reality through a distorted field.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like a distorted field. And I remember saying, there is a signal, but there's also distortion for
Yes. And
different
like
people's
goosebumps.
perspectives.
That's or me. I feel goosebumps when you just said that. My whole body went, and my hair standing on end everywhere.
Yeah, that's it. That's fascinating.
I
That's
love that.
empathy.
That's my
Yeah,
best.
man.
When I feel like that, it's better than any drug I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah.
When I
What
hear
we got in
truth
the chat? Oh,
expressed.
Paula's chat. Hello, Paula. So
But
yeah.
yeah, and that in essence is, if we try to attain something, that
Mhm.
trying actually makes the goal harder to attain.
Well, yeah, yeah, absolutely. This is one of the rules of an occult operation. Once you cast for something, you forget about it and let it go. And the moment you have let it go unconsciously, it will manifest. That's
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. But
And that
there
in
still
the end,
is.
like you said, the stillness is probably the easiest thing for us to do, but it's our mind that we let run amok in, and because we're always having to fill our empty our true emptiness with something, because we think of things on the opposite of what we should. That's just the weirdest.
Mm,
That in essence is like the right and the left brain, or the yin and the yang, or the up and the down, and that's
yeah.
the theory of everything. That's just
Well,
weird.
it's if you take the mass of the standard deviation of people psychologically, it's quite difficult for a lot of people to just sit still and be. For you know, the truth
Well,
seeker.
I'm guilty. I find it impossible for me to still my mind and not have a thought, dude. I mean,
Yeah, that's kind of like that Gemini shit you got going on, really.
yes, and that's exactly what it
I'd
is.
say, haven't you got the moon in Gemini?
I've got voices arguing in my head all the time, dude.
Okay.
Well, not voices, but different.
Thoughts.
But recently, I've come to there's been this calm about me, except for last night when I came across George Floyd news and the zeitgeist and what's going on here in Minneapolis, and the Chauvin trial and all that stuff, and I let it grab me, and I had somebody tell me on in instant messenger MCF. She messaged me and she said, just call, are you okay? And that's all it took to get me out of it. It was just, yeah, I'm okay. Why am I letting it bother me?
Yeah, that's how it came to be, that I was contemplating all this stuff and digesting all this. It's not really, you could say it's information, but it's knowledge. And it's knowledge that has wisdom you can extract from it if you really contemplate on it. Like
hang on. Cindy, don't
earlier.
leave yet, because I got something to talk about that you're going to be interested in, because you set me on the path to what I want to talk about. So just give us a couple more minutes and then we'll get to that. But yeah, Jack, sorry, I didn't want to cut because Cindy was leaving.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, because you were talking about the George Floyd thing and you got sucked in.
Yep.
See, that's what it does. The zeitgeist is like a psychopath. It wants to hoover you back into its domain of control.
Because that's our ego trying to keep us away from our true self, in my opinion.
Yeah, this need for constant stimulation. So you can avoid the stillness within. But like, just to go to the zeitgeist, I brought up Meghan Markle last time we talked and how she's a complete narcissist. But the point is this, I was not interested. I didn't want to watch the Oprah interview. I don't care what Prince Harry said, although I do empathize with Prince Harry, because the reason he succumbed to a narcissist is because he's highly empathetic because of being a kid and watching his mum get murdered and pawned off as an accident. That's going to fuck him up. That's really is going to make him a highly emo being. But anyway, yeah, I ended up, I still haven't watched the interview. I just found this video about her and how she's manipulating him. And then it just took me into this world of the mindset of the psychopath and the narcissist. And I'm looking at it from the other end. I'm looking at it diametrically opposed from the mystical point of view. And just realizing, wow, there's so much wisdom that can come from reconciling and understanding all this, I mean, Jesus, how much does the Bible talk about evil people? And the Pharisees and the Romans and what they did to Jesus, and it just goes on and on and on.
People throw the Bible out the window because they think it's an evil thing that is trying to, this or that, and it's because we look at it through the carnal mind and the carnal eyes, and that's to be expected because we are here in the now experiencing the physical world, and we don't see things through the physical or spiritual eye.
But this is the point as well: is that the pathological individuals look at the world and they know what's going on. The empaths look at the world and they can't quite put their finger on it, and then that gives rise to your David Icke's of the world and your Alex Joneses, right?
Right.
But really, to actually understand it, you need to understand the perspective of the elusive they. And now I understand their perspective. It brings me a great sense of peace because I'm like, okay, this is what they're doing. And remember, it's a defense mechanism from the torment of samsara for them anyway, So,
you get what you reap.
And really, Jerry's final thought is really that what Frank Phoenix says, you just have to have faith and accept that everyone will have their day.
Everything is as it should be is what my new thing is that, we are here. This is now. Everything is as it should be, for you would not be here if it wasn't.
Mhm.
Right?
This is the thing. There's no blame on God here because one,
God is
God is
blameless.
beyond the physical. So you
But
may. So that begs the go on.
all of our strife we can dump on God, because God will accept it. And that, God is in all of us. God is everything. And, I mean, the weight of the world is on God's shoulders, but yet God is blameless. That's the thing people, and because people think God is something that is outside of them, or, some deity in the sky with a big long beard, or, somebody passing judgment, when in essence it's okay. Here, this is the question I wanted to talk about with Cindy. Now, Cindy pointed out to me when I got into the Anu thought, the Anu, to me, the Anu is the Sky Father, which is the surfactant, or the thing that holds us all together, from the littlest to the biggest. It's everything, the
It's the
ineffable.
glue that tethers creation.
Yes, exactly. Now, the Anu, I came to this realization that the Anu is the black hole. A black hole is in essence the Anu, because it expands, or it brings in everything that's around it, and it ejects it out the top and the bottom. The polarity or whatever. That's an elementary layman way of explaining it. Yet
Oh, the jets of
the
gamma
galactic
rays.
jets, yes. And the right hand rule of electricity is,
Faraday. Force, current, and magnetic field.
yes, dielectricity and magnetism is electricity. That's what electricity is, via Ken Wheeler.
Right. I was
But
just thinking that as soon as you said dielectricity, I was like, "Oh, Kenny Wheeler."
yeah, and in these pieces that we all have in our journeys, they all fall into play. If you strive for the knowing, it will find you. But in the end, we all end up in the same place. We all are from the same thing. We are all the same thing.
Mm.
And but my point was, I was trying to get at is, I'm almost lost in my own thought here, because I'm all over the place as usual. But the thing is that, where was I going with that?
You
Damn
were
it.
saying that we are all the same thing. You're talking about the
Before that,
Anu, the black hole.
the
We're all
Anu,
the same
okay.
thing.
Now the Anu, in our connection to the center of all things, where does form and formless exist? I mean, where does the distinction of being and not being, meaning being physical and not physical, exist? Where does this
Interesting. So remember that occult chemistry book that talks about the Anu and pictures it, and you have the
yeah,
picture,
lead
right?
better.
It
Yes.
says that beyond the Anu would be the limit of the physical plane, and you start moving into etheric astral planes.
Yes. And that's what the galaxy is the seeds, or the galaxy is the cosmic garden in which everything on the dielectric plane, or the
Mhm.
plane of inertia, the accretion disk, is the matter that is both sucked in at the poles and ejected, and then comes back around. But the point is that our heart, where is our soul? Is it in our mind? Or is it our heart?
It's
I
formless.
recently came to the conclusion it's not in our freaking mind. Our mind is an organ to filter out the soul, to
The,
filter
the
out.
mind, the mind is a
It's a filter.
well, the see now.
Our heart
Well,
is
okay,
where our seat of
okay.
our
This is
soul is.
deep. This is getting deep. What is the distinction between the mind and the soul?
There is none. The brain there's a distinction between the brain and the mind, or and that's where the gray area, no pun intended, it comes in, right?
Well, remember that the mind and the soul are both formless. So it's like Krishna saying, "I have no abode." You know,
Yes, but the seven churches is
I
the
am
same.
everywhere and nowhere at the
Yes,
same
yes.
time
And
for
that's the
eternally.
Anu, in my opinion. That's the everything. And but Cindy came around to me when we were talking, because I had this black hole epiphany about the ultimate Anu through Danny Wilton's work, and it was weird how it all lined up. And she said to me, she turned to me, it was me, her, and Odie, and in the car, and she said, Steve, what if our heart is the Anu? What if our heart is the black hole that connects the center of us to the center of the galaxy, to the center of all things, and connects us all to one? And I had this just rush of like, wow. It was the biggest wow moment I ever had. And those were in the days when I still was filming the sky. I mean, I was a Nibiru fanatic. I mean, that's the story that, like you said, the rabbit hole that brings you from the outer to the inner. That was what Nibiru was for me. Like for other people, it's Mandela effect. For other people, it's the reptilians, or David Icke, or they are doing this and they are doing that. But this is essentially how my personal story to myself brought me here. And it's like wow. And I just wanted to give kudos to Cindy for bringing me to that point. Because we are all point source perspectives. And this thing, like you said, the brakes, this is the brakes. We are the brakes for the universe, because the expansion is just the aha moment, or the boof. And then it's us bringing it back in. Can we come in from the out now? Can we bring it back in and own it, and derive from what it is that it is? And what it is nothing, because nothing is everything. From nothing, everything is born. I don't know if
I'm following you. No,
I don't know if anybody followed me there, but that's my rant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, you were talking about the galaxy and the central black holes ejecting all this gamma radiation and sucking it all back in. Physicists love to go on about how much matter is being ejected off the sun. Billions of tons every second. The sun is going to burn out. But how much matter is the sun sucking back in at its poles?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like the magnetic field of the sun is the whole solar system, and we're within that. I just, you got to have this polarities. You got to have both forces in play. You can't have one without the other. And
So
this is the hermetic law of polarity really reigning supreme, as it does once again, going back to the whole topic I've been talking about.
Because without the vibration and the polarity, there is no rhythm, and there is no creation, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but my point is that there's opposing poles and all degrees in between of everything.
Everything.
So if you have these, earth angels, enlightened beings that are beautiful souls that have, they still make mistakes because they're human, but they've overcome their ego and the carnal mind, then obviously you have the polar opposite of that as well. And it's the understanding of that. It's like, okay, right, it is what it is. This is how it's come to be. I don't really have to worry about it now. Like I said, it's like a combination of recognition simultaneously with acceptance. That I feel like I've got that.
Of shadows, for evil will surely appear. For only the master of brightness shall conquer the shadow of fear. Know ye, O my brother, that fear is an obstacle great. Be a master of all in the brightness. The shadow will soon disappear. Hear ye and heed my wisdom. The voice of light is clear. Seek not the valley of shadow, and light only will appear. See, that's all of this stuff. I mean, I got this book before I even was I didn't understand a damn thing this thing said. I was like, okay, we're turning on lights, we're shutting off lights, we're getting dark. We're talking about evil people, and we're talking about snakes and serpent beings, and vibrational serpents that could trick your eye unless you said a word kininogen. And I was all of that mindset. And it's amazing how when you start exploring your inner kingdom. And so, Jack, in your opinion, where is the seat of your soul?
I don't know. I'm working on that.
Okay, now another thing.
Okay, let me just theorize. Let me theorize. Well, obviously, you know, the brain is an integral part to consciousness, because if something goes wrong with the brain, then the output of the consciousness is warped. But that's more of a psychiatric perspective. Um, I think the brain is receiving our consciousness from I don't know, maybe from God directly. I don't know. It's a great mystery.
Well, I think all is consciousness, or everything. The all is consciousness, and that's what essentially is the logos, and that's where the logos is born, is in that consciousness. Or you could say the abyss of our mind is the abyss that the light is born in. So consciousness is the realm of the potentiality of everything. But this is how I came to understand this today. If you look at the way the Egyptians embalmed their people, the elite, anybody that could afford it, and it eventually turned into a money business, like everything else does on this earth. And when you are dealing with the physicality or carnal mind of dog eat dog world and all this, and we could get into that, but my point is if you pay attention to what their rituals were when they embalmed and they treated the body with natron salt, and the whole process of it, they did not give a shit about their brain. They plucked it out with a freaking coat hanger, pretty much. They
believe the soul was in your liver.
Huh?
They believe the soul was in your liver, because
no, your liver is an integral part, because it keeps your heart healthy. Because the only organ they left in you was your heart. Everything else went in a canopic jar, and they discarded your brain like it was nothing. I mean, they chopped it up with little pieces, pulled it out of your nose with the coat hanger, dude.
with a coat hanger.
They pretty much did. That's pretty much how they did it.
They didn't have coat hangers, but I know.
Oh, you know what I mean? With a rod or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing.
Right.
The analogy was funny.
Right.
In a mummification, some Egyptians just like, can you get me one of the coat hangers? So I got something here that can summarize
a crochet hook, yeah.
It's
but in to get to the seven kingdoms and the seven houses of the Lord, the seven candlesticks, and everything is in our paradigm, in the physical, is manifest through the seven churches of our heart, because we have 7 layers of heart muscle. We have 7 chakras. We have 7 major organs. We have 7, I have 7 fingers. Oh, wait, no, I only have 5. I should have never, I had 2. No, I'm just kidding.
It's interesting. Well, this third chapter I'm looking at the third chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, and it really does summarize everything we've been talking about tonight, and it does it deals with these issues. So it says, so Arjuna says, so this is chapter 3, verse 36. Well, I'll start with this. Chapter 3. Shit, I can go back. It all pertains. Okay, I'll start at chapter 3, verse 33. All right, and I haven't picked that deliberately. I've just landed on that. There's your little 333, man.
It's been popping up for me lately, dude.
So it says this. It says, even a wise man acts within the limitations of his own nature. Every creature is subject to Prakriti, the abyss. What is the use of repression? The senses have been conditioned by attraction to the pleasant and aversion to the unpleasant. See, this is what I've been exploring is an unpleasant subject, but I've kind of just gone for it this week. Do not be ruled by them. They are obstacles in your path. It is better to strive in one's own dharma than to succeed in the dharma of another. Nothing is ever lost in following one's own dharma, but competition in another's dharma breeds fear and insecurity. What is the force that binds us to selfish deeds, O Krishna? This is Arjuna. What power moves us, even against our will, as if forcing us. Krishna responds, it is selfish desire and anger arising from the guna of rajas. These are the appetites and evils which threaten a person in this life. Just as fire is covered by smoke and a mirror is obscured by dust, just as the embryo rests deep within the womb, knowledge is hidden by selfish desire. Hidden, Arjuna, by this unquenchable fire for self-satisfaction, the inveterate enemy of the wise.
Dude, goosebumps.
That is absolutely talking about everything. I just
right now.
the unquenchable, insatiable thirst for fuel, emotional fuel to burn the fire within that the psychopaths have, and the inveterate enemy of the wise. This is some really trippy shit that I just.
Well, the Bhagavad Gita is pretty much God speaking to us. You know,
well, yeah, it is. It's just weird that I opened the page and found
that is awesome.
And it's
That's awesome.
It's chapter. I started at chapter 3, verse 33 of the Bhagavad Gita.
Check this out. Now, somebody in chat just said, now they're talking about the whole. We live in a dark age of tech that gives the controllers of world a false gad right to be superior. Now, I wanted to figure out a way to explain that, you know, that is beyond your control. So, you know, that whole, but I mean, I don't want to come at anybody like that.
I tell you what,
but Steve, I opened this up and I said, know ye, the hounds of the barrier move only through angles and never through curves of space. Only by moving through curves can ye escape them. For in the angles, they will pursue you. Oh man, heed ye my warning. Seek not to break open the gate to beyond. Few there are who have succeeded in passing the barrier to the greater light that shines beyond. For know ye ever the dwellers seek such souls to hold in their thrall.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's the Narcissist. Yeah, I see. This is why it's an important topic that you have to explore in a mystical quest.
I get what you were saying now, dude. But I mean,
yeah, this is you were skeptical when I told you about this before, when we were talking before we went on chat. But like I said to you, and I think you're realizing this. There is immense there are great pearls of wisdom in exploring this topic, and like I said, with Iamblichus, reconciling it with its reconciling this dichotomy. So what I found really interesting, Steve, just before you read that, is this verse actually ends by explaining where the soul is.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's like beautifully wrapping up everything we talked. So I'll just
carry on.
So I'll carry on verse 40. Selfish desire is found in the senses, mind, and intellect, misleading them and burying the understanding in delusion. Fight with all your strength, Arjuna. Controlling your senses, conquer your enemy, the destroyer of knowledge and realization. Well, that would really be the ego as well, not psychopaths outside of us. You see what I mean?
Well, in essence, our ego is a psychopath inside of us.
Well, it's very narcissistic.
Yes.
It's where our narcissistic traits come from our ego, and the formation of the ego in infancy is really a self-defense. It's a self-defense mechanism to deal with this horror of
you're alive long enough to ask the question, what? Why are we here?
Yeah.
Carry on.
So last two verses, and then we'll wrap it up, because it's 9:30 and I'm really loud and I don't want to keep my landlady awake. But it says, the senses are higher than the body, the mind higher than the senses. Above the mind is the intellect, and above the intellect is the Atman. Thus, the Atman, which Ken Wheeler is the world's leading authority on.
he's the utmost expert.
You gotta love Ken Wheeler because he's very wise, but he has these massive narcissistic traits that come to the fore, and he's just like, "Oh, dude, you killed it." But anyway, you gotta love Kenny Wheeler. But anyway,
I love Ken Wheeler.
Yeah, me too, man.
But even though he blocked me from commenting on his channel.
Yeah, he really riled up your ego there, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. But I actually emailed him, and he swears he didn't do it, but I know it was him.
All right, I'll start again. Verse
I
42,
won't cut you
chapter
off.
3. The senses are higher than the body, the mind higher than the senses. Above the mind is the intellect, and above the intellect is the Atman. Thus, okay, thus, hold on. Thus, knowing that which is supreme, let the Atman rule the ego. Use your mighty arms to slay the fierce enemy, that is selfish desire. That's why I love the Bhagavad Gita. It's so direct.
It is.
You don't have to go, ooh, is that the abyss that they're
Yeah,
referring
you
to?
don't have to
Ooh,
wonder what things are. It's like right in your face.
It's like okay, so like you got the Bhagavad Gita and Pistis Sophia, two totally opposing.
Yeah,
Like this one is like uber hard difficulty, and this one is uber easy. They're almost like opposite polarities of mysticism.
well, it's
Right.
one with convolution and mind run amok trying to explain the same thing that the Bhagavad Gita explains it in preschool terms.
Yeah, the Gnostics had issues, man. They really,
Well, because they were convoluting everything because they thought they were above everything.
well,
Gnosis
also they were probably fucking paranoid that the Inquisition was going to murder them at
that
any
too,
second.
yeah.
And
So
that
they had
actually
to
happened. That
convolute shit
happened
so
in the
yeah.
end. So maybe
They confused their own doctrine though by doing so.
yeah. Mate, I don't know. Gnosticism is essentially Christian mysticism.
Well, narcissism is oh, you mean agnosticism?
Gnosticism, yeah.
I thought you
So,
said
yeah.
narcissism. Well, that could be too. A lot of people call Christians narcissists.
Yeah. No, there's no one size fits all. You can't tar everyone with the same brush. There's varying degrees of empathy and narcissism within all of us.
Oh yeah.
It's and like I said, that doesn't make everyone a narcissist. But this is now I understand why like these fucking people do what they do, because
They
like
know
I
no
said,
better, man.
now I understand why they're acting the way they do. I haven't got such a problem with it. I mean, it's still shitty and there's still scum.
Yeah, I mean, you can't condone half the behaviors that go on in the world, but you can't give it weight and water. You can't add to it by propagating it and showing it off like it's something to be paraded in front of somebody because they weren't aware of it. Yeah, and
protesting in righteous
exactly.
indignation to a narcissist is exactly what they want you to do.
Yes,
because they're sucking your negative emotional fuel from that.
Fear is the biggest fetter that brings us and holds us here.
Well, interestingly that you said that, a true psychopath, like uber level psychopath, has no fear. They literally
sure know how to propagate it.
I'm not sure if that's true.
Well, maybe not propagate it, but they do it without knowing they're doing it. Maybe.
Maybe they just feel fear unconsciously. I don't know. I'm outside.
Right here in this program, in this show, I've said the word "they" more times than I've said in the last four years. No, 4 months, because I used to be a big "they" person, and to me, the word "they" is just a means of differentiating or separating yourself from some behavior or something that you view as outside of yourself.
Or you could say it's like us and them.
Yeah.
So it's polarity. You're in the realm of you're polarized when you're talking about they. And if you're polarized,
still battling the demon within you, and
if you're polarized, then attaining singularity becomes impossible.
Yeah, and there is no, and that's the whole association of being, to bring it all back around, is that when you associate yourself with just being, that means that you're just now, you're here in the moment.
Yeah,
you are. There is nothing else other than that.
Mm.
And when we think of what happened yesterday or what's going to happen or what some agenda is or this or that, you're not doing that. Then you're not living in the now. You're not being. You're reacting, or you're perpetuating, or you're doing. You're not being. That's the epiphany I had today, and it was profound for me. And Jack, I appreciate you, dude. I love you, my brother, man.
Yeah, I love you too, man. And everyone in the chat.
It's awesome to have these talks, and because you seen the doubt and the confusion in my face when you first brought this 5 minutes before we came live, and because it's always a crash
you're certainly skeptical.
I never plan anything, and it's always now, and and it's kind of weird that we're ending it on that note, but it's just, I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it too. And thanks to everyone in the chat, all 21 people who joined us for this adventure. The name of that channel, I'll put it in the chat, is
a bunch of people already looked it up and they said thank you, because
HG Tudor. You will gain a lot of wisdom and understanding from this guy in a roundabout way that you didn't expect. It's kind of bizarre in a way, but like I said, Jerry's final thought is my Jerry's final thought. And
are you saying Jerry or Jerry?
Jerry is in Jerry Springer.
Oh, well, every time I hear the word Jerry, I think of my brother. That's
right. No, Jerry's final thought is
I remember now. Right.
The quest for
his bouncer was Steve.
Yeah. All right, Steve's final thought.
No,
I just always remember watching Jerry Springer as a kid, and it was
there was a circumstance in my life where
why are you watching this crap? But at the end, he tries to impart some wisdom on the viewer with Jerry's final thought.
Chaos, yes.
I
love that.
It's so cheesy as well.
That's awesome.
But hey,
it's the truth.
Treat yourselves and each other. What did he say? What was that? What was that? Someone in the chat. What did he always say? I can't remember.
Where in the Jerry Springer show?
Yeah.
I don't know what.
You've muted yourself, Steve.
No, I didn't. You can't hear me? You got to be able to hear me.
Oh, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that was on your end.
All right. So I forgot what my final thought was. Yeah, that's it. It goes back to Iamblichus. The most excellent good is reconciliation of all things of a contrary nature. And I just, in understanding why things are the way they are, I guess if I do understand the motivations and the drivers of evil, that will allow me to reconcile it. And, it is kind of nasty and you don't want to spend too much time in it, but having the perspective and the understanding enables the reconciliation and then, liberates you from they, basically.
Yeah.
Follow? Yeah. All right, man. You good?
I totally appreciate the thought exercise because, like Aaron just said in chat, who I miss because he's a brother from another mother like you are, Mr. Michelle Seymour's in the house too. What's up, sweetheart? But Aaron said, what did he say back here? He's Australian School of Esoterica, but intellectual exercise is also a gem of a channel. Intellectual. I've already subscribed to that channel, but yeah,
I'll check it out.
Pretty good one.
Yeah, this comment actually here that God allows it because of our lack of knowledge. Yeah, this is true. Ultimately, the jinn teach us wisdom through the pain and suffering they inflict on us.
Well, man
and that's ultimately why God allows it.
Right.
I don't know if Mike if Mike has the same thought there. But yeah. All right, I'm gonna go because I don't want to keep my landlady awake. She likes to go to bed early. So good night, everyone, and yeah, I will. Until next time. That was it. Take care of yourself and each other.
All right, bro.
All right, dude.
Later on,
Thanks, everyone. All right, bye.
I'm gonna say goodbye. Say my goodbyes to everybody. Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us. I'll start from the bottom here. Thoth, what's up, Miles? Allie Berry, what's up, Allie Star? Mike, Piccolo Son, hi. I didn't get to say hi to you earlier, but hi, thank you. Adams Patch, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Used, Abused, and Confused. Tammy, what's up, sweetheart? I'm glad you came full circle and decided to join us. Aaron, my brother, we need to get together and talk. I'm glad you could show up. Mr. Michelle Seymour, you know I love you, honey. Thank you for joining us. Paula, love you, sweetheart. Thank you for joining us. Adams Patch. Jenny, I got your number. 1-876-5309. Yeah, I think I do. Dominic Delete. Dominic, I love the name. I bet nobody gets the boot today. Why? Because Miles is the moderator. Runky Monkey. I know he's in the fjords. He's in the channels, right, Runky? I know you're out there, Jerry. I love you, man. Who else? Black Illuminati. I'm glad. Baby Chain Gangs. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you were here. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Let me scroll up. MCF was here for a while. She's gone now. Frater Jack was in here. HG Tutor. What's up, Jack? But yeah, guys, thank you for joining us. And, you know, I'm not trying to say my way is the only way. I'm not trying to say that I know everything. I'm only merely sharing my perspective to hopefully inspire somebody to find their introspective, to find their own way to the one that we all are. I know not that which I don't know. So, you know what? All we can do is grow in the show. The shit show for show is this show, you know. So go, go, go. Love in the flow.